Alas, I have returned. It's about damn time we had another tutorial. What up YouTube, it's your boy Double M and I'm coming back at you with another tutorial. We're halfway through the human anatomy of this one. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to draw each and every single muscle in the abdomen.
We're drawing a lot of muscles here for the abdomen. We're not drawing a single muscle group that is responsible for one single function like the bicep. Now, these muscles are responsible for bending the body in many different directions, This can be seen on the diagram. Technically, we are supposed to focus on the muscles in between the chest and the pelvis, because that's where the actual abdomen muscles are. But we're still gonna look at the chest and include it in this tutorial, because we do things differently here. But make sure to check out my chest tutorial. That's where I actually show you how to draw them and actually study the muscle itself in depth. But anyway, that's the first muscle group. The next muscle group are the abs. The muscle group that people think are the end-all be-all in their fitness journey, but forget to train everything else, especially their legs. What the heck? Excuse me on that one. But don't worry, I got a leg tutorial coming up soon. Stay tuned. Now, the interesting thing about this muscle group is that many different people will have many different types of abs. You'll have some that have abs that are in line and some that aren't in line. It's kind of weird. But even so, it's still good to keep in mind that we have 8 abs in total, with the first 6 being more square and the last 2 being more rectangular. The next muscle group we got are muscles that come from the abs, called the obliques. Now, the last 2 are the ones that are bigger and have more definition. They're the ones that give that whole V-cut look. So, from each ab muscle, we got an oblique muscle coming from it. And like the ab muscles, the last 2 are the longer ones, the bigger ones, and they have more definition. Now, the next muscle group we got are muscles that come from the obliques, called the serratus anterior. Now, looking at how they sit on the skeleton, they may look like some complex muscles. And I'm gonna be honest, the name had me for a while, but I'm here to tell you, chill. It's not a complex muscle group at all. You just got 3 muscles coming from the top 3 obliques. Simple. Now, what makes drawing the abdomen complex at first is thinking about and looking at all of those muscles at the same time. But once you understand which muscles come from which and which ones you start from and which one you end with, it's not a difficult process. Now, the last muscle group, weirdly enough, are muscles that are actually on the back. Now, you guys remember the lat from our back tutorial? You see, you would have known what the lats were if you watched that tutorial. Now go and watch the tutorial. I'm sorry. Maybe you're new. Hey, I'm Double M. I draw, and welcome to the channel. Yeah, you making it this far, I respect you for making it this far into the tutorial. Many people just disappear after the intro, so you making it this far, you're a real one. You understand that? So make sure to watch my other tutorials when you get the time. Yeah, all right. But anyway, the lat muscles being so big and the way that they sit on the body, you can actually see them from the front and how they become part of the abdomen as well. So we have gone through and pointed out the muscles in the abdomen, the muscle groups in the abdomen. One thing to understand before we start actually drawing these muscles, before we start actually drawing the abdomen, is how they sit on the skeleton, right? So let's bring them out. What's good? Looking at the skeleton, we have muscles from the abdomen, muscle groups from the abdomen that sit on the rib cage and don't sit on the rib cage. Now, obviously, from the chest tutorial, we know that the chest sits on the rib cage. To make things easier, let me point out the muscles that don't sit on the rib cage. The muscles that don't sit on the rib cage are the last 6 ab muscles and the last 2 oblique muscles, those 2 big ones that make that V cut, those are the muscles that don't sit on the rib cage. So we have the first 2 of the ab muscles, we have the first 6 of the oblique muscles, and we have all of the serratus anterior muscles that sit on the rib cage, plus the chest. And we have the last 6 ab muscles and the last 2 oblique muscles that don't sit on the rib cage. I'm gonna explain later in the tutorial why this is important to understand. It'll help. Now let's actually get to the fun part. We're drawing the muscles now. What I want you guys to sketch up is the front view of the upper body, right? I already have a video where I show how to draw the upper body, how to roughly draw the upper body, but it shouldn't be too difficult of a process. Just draw what you see on the screen. But I do need you to go back to my chest tutorial to know how to draw the chest, because that's the first muscle we're drawing on this upper body. So if you've already watched that tutorial and you know how to draw the chest, then you're good, no stress. Now for the next muscle, the abs, what you want to do is draw a rectangular block and divide that block into 8 pieces so that you have the top 6 being more square blocks and the last 2 being more rectangular. Now you may be wondering what those last 2 blocks are. Now don't worry about it. That's actually my mistake. I accidentally drew the upper body a little too long, so let me just fix it. There we go. When drawing the abs, you don't actually want to draw out that whole block. You don't want a line drawing out that whole block for the ab. You want lines to suggest the shape. Just a few lines here and a few lines there to suggest the form. The next muscle group are the obliques. Remember, the obliques are the muscles that are right next to the ab, that are coming from the abs. So basically, each ab has its own oblique muscle that's coming from that ab, right? So for the top 3 oblique muscles on each side, you want to have lines that suggest the shape, the form of the oblique muscle that's coming from the ab muscle. And for that last oblique coming from that last ab, you want to draw it bigger and sticking out like so. And for the next muscle, the serratus anterior, it's easy. You just have a line for each line that is used for the top 3 oblique muscles. So you have that oblique muscle line, just slap a line on top of that and you have your serratus anterior detail. And to finish it off, we have the lat muscles. Now the lat muscles you draw like this so you can have a little bit of that V shape, you know, that V taper. And you want to have this line that's sort of coming from the chest to show the connection that the lat muscle has on the body. Now let's jump to that 3/4 view. Again, if you haven't watched the chest tutorial, go ahead and watch the chest tutorial. But we don't have to complicate things, just draw what you see on the screen for now. Next, for the abs, you want to draw that long block that's divided into 8 pieces, with the last 2 being the longer one. One more thing to point out, right there, that's actually where the belly button will sit. I just made that mistake again. Let me just fix there we go. This is just something done to get an idea of where the abs will be. When you're actually drawing the abs, again, you want lines to suggest form and the shape. Don't complete the shape with one single line. Have a couple of lines to suggest the form and the shape of each ab muscle, depending on the amount of fat when you carry it. Now next up, we got the oblique muscles. Remember, each ab has its own oblique muscles. So you just want to have lines that suggest the form, the shape of the oblique muscle that's coming from the ab. Remember, this is a 3/4 view. So you have oblique muscles that you're looking at directly, and you have oblique muscles that you're not looking at directly. They're on the other side, that are on the left. So for the muscles that you're looking at directly, you can just have those lines to suggest the form of the obliques. The ones that you're not looking at directly, you want to have the profile of those muscles, you know, since you're looking at it from the side. You want to have the profiles of those muscles to follow the actual bulge of the oblique muscle. In the 3/4 view, in this view, you should also show how much the last oblique muscle bulges out compared to the top 3. Those last 2, remember, are the ones that give that V-cut vibe. So you want to have that bulge. You want to have those 2 muscles really bulging out. Not really like completely, but bulging out more compared to the top 3. For the serratus anterior, it's a simple process. Just slap a line on top of each of those lines for the oblique muscles, and you got your serratus anterior. Then you want to finish off for drawing that bulge on the back for the lats, with that line coming from the chest to show the connection of the lats to the body. Now let's jump to that side view. Draw what you see on the screen. It's important to understand that for the top half of the upper body, that ribcage right there, you want to have it tilting back a bit and the bottom half tilting forward so that you can have that S curvature that the spine has. Again, if you don't know how to draw the chest, make sure to go to watch the tutorial how to draw the chest. But to keep things simple, it's not a difficult process. Just draw what you see on the screen. Just draw that light bulb there or whatever that shape. Now what you want to draw is that long rectangular shape that's cut into 8 pieces for the abs. But since we're looking at the side, we're looking at this as a side view, it's not going to be 8 pieces, it's going to be 4 pieces. Now remember when I said how the muscles are connected to the rib cage and which ones are not connected to the rib cage? Remember, the top 2 abs are connected to the rib cage while the bottom 6 are not. Since we're looking at this from the side, you want to have that top block in line with the rib cage, and the bottom 3 going down the stomach. Another thing to point out about the abs, which is also seen in the oblique muscles, for both muscle groups, you have the top 6, right? Each muscle groups, they have 4 on each side, so it's like 8 in total. The top 6 are the same size, while the last 2 are a bit bigger and bulkier and beefier. Just a bit. In the front view and in the 3/4 view, you can see the last 2 abs are a bit longer. But in the side view, you can see that the last 2 abs are not only a bit longer, but a bit bulkier. They have a little more meat than the abs that are above those last 2 abs. So when drawing the abs from the side view, you want to have that little bump just after the belly button, that little bump of the last 2 abs. I just realized I made that long upper body mistake again. But we're just going to continue. We're just going to keep pushing. For the oblique muscles, you want to have those lines that suggest the form of the oblique muscles coming from the abs. And for the lines that you would use to draw the last 2 oblique muscles, since you're looking at the muscle right, you're looking right at the muscle, you're not going to see that bulge that the last oblique would have to show that V cut. But you still want to draw that line for the last 2 oblique a little bit longer, you know, so you can see that quote-unquote V cut from the side. For the serratus anterior, you want to have those lines on top of the oblique lines just a little bit long. And then to finish things off, you're going to draw that lat muscle with that line that looked like it was coming from the chest, but it's actually not coming from the chest. It's coming somewhere here from the armpit, actually. But it's not like you're going to see that line anyway. You're going to draw the arm on top of that. Oh, you said you don't know how to draw the arm. Don't even worry about it. I got you. Make sure to watch my tutorial on how to draw that arm so that you can hide that line of the lat behind that arm. So, you say you know how to draw the abdomen now. You think you're all that. Let's put your knowledge to the test. I need you guys to draw the poses that you see on the screen. Hopefully you can tell what's actually happening. What we're going to do right now is observe these different muscles in these different poses and different positions. For the first pose, we got him reaching above while the other arm is flexing the bicep. When looking at the muscles, the abdomen muscles actually look okay. Nothing stretched, nothing too flexed. It's actually the chest that kind of looks stretched and flexed, especially the one to the left, because you have that arm that is reaching above. You have that chest that is also being stretched as the arm is reaching above. Remember from the chest tutorial where the chest muscle itself is connected. You're going to show how that muscle is connected and it's following the body part that it's connected to. Since you have that chest muscles that sort of connected closer to the arm, when the arm is reaching up, you're going to have that chest muscle stretched up a bit. Another thing that's important to show now that the arms are out of the way is that bulge, that shape, that profile of the lat muscle. So take your time to draw what's happening to understand how the muscles are being formed and how they are being stretched because of that pose. Before we jump to the next pose. In the next pose, we have the same thing that's happening. We have both the arms reaching above, but we don't have that rib cage sticking out. So that means 2 things. Because the rib cage isn't sticking out, we have the abdomen muscles that are flexing to hold that pose. But since we also have those 2 arms that are reaching above, we have some of the abdomen muscles that are stretching. The chest muscle is actually the muscle that's connected to the arm. So you can particularly see how stretched that muscle is because of the arms that are reaching above. Both the chest muscle and the lat muscles. You want to have those 2 muscles being pulled. The muscles that are actually kind of flexing to hold this pose are the abs. So you want to keep them how they would usually be. Just keep in mind, now that they're doing more work, now that they're actually doing work, you want to put in a little bit of definition to show the amount of work that they're doing. The same thing goes for the obliques and the serratus anterior muscles. In fact, the true abdomen muscles are the abs, the obliques, and the serratus muscles. We just draw the lats in the chest to complete the whole upper body. And for the true abdomen muscles, you won't have some that are flexing and others that are being stretched and others that are relaxing. If the abs are flexing, the oblique muscles are flexing and the serratus muscles are flexing as well. For some poses, you can have the muscles on the left side flexing while the muscles on the right side are being stretched. But if it's muscles on the same side, they're all going to be flexing and muscles on the same side, they're all going to be relaxed. So if the abs are flexing slash being stretched a bit, the obliques are also going to be flexing slash being stretched a bit. You get what I'm saying? Let's move to the next pose. Now for this pose, we have two things. The arms are both reaching to each side and the rib cage is sticking out a bit. So this pose is opening up the body a bit. Because of that, we'll have majority, in fact, a lot of the muscles here. In fact, all of the muscles here will be stretched out, especially the chest muscle. Y'all remember the muscles that are actually connected to the rib cage and the ones that are not. Now, because of this pose, you remember all of the abdomen muscles here are being stretched, even the ones that are not technically abdomen muscles, the chest and the lats. In this pose, you're not going to see that much of the lats, but you get what I'm trying to say. Because we want to show the rib cage actually sticking out, we want to put definition on the muscles that are on the rib cage near the edge of the rib cage to show how much that rib cage is sticking out. So you want to show a lot of that muscle definition near the edge of the oblique muscles, right there in between the actual ab and the actual oblique muscles, where the oblique muscle actually starts. You want to show the definition to show how that rib cage is sticking out and is becoming and is making the whole person take an open pose. And for the last pose, it's the exact opposite. We have a closed pose, so all the abdomen muscles are going to be flexing. You want each muscle of each muscle group to be more rounder, more bulkier. The muscle from the chest muscle group to be bulkier, to be more rounder. The abs, the obliques, the serratus anterior. The lats you're not going to really see because the lats in this pose are not flexing at all, only a bit. Not compared to the actual abdomen muscles, but you still want to show that the bulkiness, is that a word? The bulkiness of the lat muscles at the back. And that's the thing, not only with the anatomy of the abdomen, but with anatomy overall. In order to properly understand and master anatomy, the only thing you have to look at is the overall muscle group, because a muscle group has many different muscles, can have many different muscles. You just need to look at the overall muscle group, how it works, and how it's connected to the skeleton. Once you understand that, you should be able to draw that muscle on any pose with the right amount of definition. And with that, we come to the end of the tutorial. Thank you for making it this far into the tutorial. If you enjoyed the tutorial, make sure to drop that like and hit the subscribe button so you become part of the Double Empire if you have not already. Make sure to check out my work on my Instagram and my Twitter. I think I'm just going to stick to Twitter. The name they chose now is weird. I'm just going to stick to Twitter. God bless, and until next time, Double M out.